Hi everyone, it is Kamar, aka Brave Design 86 on Instagram and no longer on eBay. But today I wanted to talk about something, why some of us get really anxious when there is a potential for a relationship or a date, a first date, or someone we would like to get to know. Um, the reason I brought it up is it's been on my mind, even though I'm no longer single. Probably a year and 4 months, 5 months actually. But a friend of mine was having a really difficult time because um, he was trying to get to know someone and he got rejected. And he couldn't understand why he was devastated. I mean, he was really devastated. And in that moment when he was telling me about it, I could remember myself feeling like that and how devastated and hopeless I felt. And how I felt like a good partner was scarce. I felt like I was the most unattractive person on earth. Then, even when I was able to surpass that thought, I felt, okay, well, there's something innately wrong with my personality that is pushing people away. And I realized that the more dates I went on, it was the more it was reiterated because they would disappear even quicker. So I wanted to figure out what was the problem. Fortunately, once I had a mental breakdown related to that, and I finally started, I quit my job and I started taking time for myself and getting to know myself, I started realizing a lot of things. But after doing research, I finally realized what one of the main problems was. So the thing about us human beings is we like to have fantasy. We love fantasy. It's a coping mechanism for a lot of us, especially people who are anxiously attached. Basically, what we do is we go into the world of fantasy to correct the wrongs that we're dealing with. So let's say, for example, we felt wronged by someone. Then in our mind, we try to replay it and create different scenarios of how it could go in our favor. That is fantasy. Well, the thing about a lot of people is that when they meet someone that ticks off a couple of the boxes, or sometimes it didn't tick off any boxes, just something about the person that breathes potential, and then automatically, even before meeting them, you start fantasizing about a relationship with them, how life would be amazing. You start thinking of all the great possibilities with this person. Now, the challenge with that is you're not even fantasizing about the true person because you haven't met them yet and you don't even know them. Even if this happens after 3, 4, 5 dates, you don't know them because a lot of times we all know this when we start dating someone or we go on our first date, we create the person that we want to be as opposed to the person we really are. So you're not seeing the true person in front of you. So now you go ahead and you fantasize about this, right? You're fantasizing about how amazing partner this is going to be. You're going to travel, you're going to do all these things, especially if you're a visual person and you're like, oh God, we would look like the perfect couple. Bang, you're in trouble because now you have created very high stakes with someone that has no idea what you're thinking about. The problem with that is you're creating an expectation that the person themselves doesn't even match. I can guarantee you, if you think this person is the most awesome person on earth, trust me, they are not. They don't even think they are. They're not. They're not because you're judging them based on your fantasy, right? And on the other end, it is the same reason why a lot of people get turned off and don't give people they don't give someone a chance to get to know them because they've had this fantasy. And when they meet you in person and they see that, oh, and it could be very simple things. It could be very simple things. They expected your voice to be an octave lower, an octave higher. They saw a pimple. They saw a scar, something. It can be so many things because in their fantasy, you are going against their fantasy. And you have to understand where there's fantasy, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work because you're not going to match it. Of course, I've heard a situation where someone superseded in fantasy, but it is quite unlikely because our fantasies are usually perfect. But the thing about it is, because you've created this fantasy around the person, you also raise the stakes. The stakes are high because now I'm sad, I'm lonely, I want someone, but now I met this person that superseded all my expectations. I have to make it work. And if it doesn't work, it's something that I did or didn't do. The problem with that is it will also cause you to drop your standards significantly and you'll ignore red flags, which I'm going to talk about in another video why you should never date when you're hurting or in a vulnerable place. But the point is, if you find yourself getting very anxious when you're going on a date, it's not really normal. Of course, you'll have some anxiety because, you're meeting someone for the first time, you really want to get to know them, you don't want to say anything off. But I will say, if you're starting to feel severe anxiety and you don't have like a severe anxiety disorder where a lot of things will trigger you, chances are it's because you've created this fantasy in your head and you've mentally raised the stakes where now you feel like you need to be perfect. And I'll give you a great example of this. Think about if you applied for a job when you were already employed by a job that you didn't really hate, but maybe you wanted more money or you saw an opportunity, you wanted to take it. Or you're applying for a job when you're broke and you're unemployed, or you're in a company where they're about to lay people off and you won't be able to pay your rent if you don't get this job. Think about which one is going to make you super nervous and trip over your words in an interview. I can tell you this for a fact. No one is more confident than me when I'm already employed and I'm looking for a job. I go in there and I speak my mind, I speak my truth, I laugh, I give jokes, I do all the things. And 99% of the time, I will get the job because I'm very confident. But when I go into a job where I'm running from the one I'm in because I'm close to, I don't know, I want to get fired because I don't think I ever had that. But I feel like the walls are closing in because it's not meeting the bills. I hate the job. I feel like I'm going to quit today. Trust me, I trip over my words and I always not get the job because I'm so anxious. And then, of course, because I have all this fantasy with the other job, not getting the job, I'm devastated and I fall into depression. However, jobs where I already had a job and I applied and I didn't get it, I was more like, okay, I guess I'm still on file. On to the next. So you have to consider the fact that when you get ghosted, it's not a matter of something's wrong with you why you're getting ghosted. The problem is you're taking it more seriously. It's hurting because you've created a fantasy about the interaction. You felt like this interaction had to be fruitful, and now you're blaming yourself and you're starting to internalize it. And I will tell you, the more you keep speed dating when you're going through this is the worse it's going to get. And of course, now you're going to start experiencing a situation where everybody's going to ghost you. Everybody, you're going to start double texting people, you're going to start freaking out because the stakes are high and you can't afford to not get into a relationship. So consider this: when you're going to meet someone, put effort in it, but also don't put a lot of effort in it. Also, balance it out. If you're texting and you're the only one texting, it's time to just let it go. And think to yourself, there are millions of people on this earth. There are people that are going to be similar to you. There are people that are not going to be similar to you. Sometimes the time isn't going to be right, but there are plenty of people on this earth. Sometimes I wonder why people don't stop having so many kids. There are a lot of people on this earth. And so you can't look at this world as everything's scarce, relationships are scarce. Because if you do that, you're also going to reduce the likelihood of you finding someone. Because every time you meet someone that ticks off a couple boxes, you're going to freak out. You're going to go head in real hard. You're going to put high expectations on them that they can't match. And one of two things may happen, or a combination of both. You will be devastated if they don't reach out to you, or devastated if they ghost, or you'll meet them, you realize they're not meeting the expectations, you freak out, you feel like you're going to be alone forever, and you ghost them. So all I can say is stop creating fantasies about people. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to them. So yeah, leave your comment. I would love to start a dialogue with this. This came from some research that I read too, but I'm not one to post research. I don't have time for that. But I was doing some research about it and how anxiety plays a part in dating and heartbreak. And it all boils down to human beings love to create fantasies, and when these fantasies are not met, and what could have happened, instead of let's get to know this person with the intention of really getting to know them and knowing that if it doesn't work out, I'll walk away, as opposed to no, this has to work, otherwise I'm going to be alone forever. So leave a comment below. My email, I won't say that it's long, so I'll just leave it under there. You can also email me if you want. If there are questions you wanted answered, or you wanted to start a dialogue or suggestions for videos, please leave a comment or send me an email. Until then, it is Brave Design 86, and I'll see you guys soon.